tell you that some people rent their houses based on jazz. I can tell you that boldly. We have assumed people who wear what they call white collars are superior. They are not superior because pushing paper, to be honest, relies on actual productivity. I was sick of those issues, and so I started to say, let me write. So one of the things I did, I started a blog. You have to understand the reason why your ancestors did something before you do it, and then you know the building form, speaking about building, has to now align. It's not a poor man's thing to be a carpenter, a plumber,
a tiler, a plumber, a welder, to be anything in that line.
They are not.
It's not.
We need to get to the point where Land Use Act in Nigeria needs to be amended. The number one issue for real estate in Nigeria in terms of pricing is land. The cost of land is outrageous in Nigeria because...
Before we dive into today's session, I have a little favor to ask of you. Please be sure to subscribe to the channel. Data shows us that only about 20% of our viewers are actually subscribed to the channel. It takes us a lot to put these episodes together. Your little subscription goes a long way in helping us deliver more exciting episodes like this. All right, thank you so much. Let's dive into the episode now. My name is Mo, and this is the Hungry Creative Podcast. We have Snag Inspector. Snag Inspector, how are you doing today?
Very well, thank you very much. Thank you for the opportunity to be here on the Hungry Creative Podcast. Thank you. I can tell you that some people rent their houses based on jazz. I can tell you that boldly. So he wanted me to go to a Babalawo's place to go and rent, learn how to get charm to make sure that people don't disappoint us for renting. We have assumed people who wear what they call white collars are superior. They are not superior because pushing paper, to be honest, relies on actual productivity. I was sick of those issues, and so I started to say, let me write. So one of the things I did, I started a blog. It's still there. I started an Ireland page. I started a Medium. I started writing on Medium, and I just started to write tweets about art construction and those issues. So our goal was public education. That's the summary of our goal. With that background, public education. Let people know what is wrong. Because if you don't know what's wrong, how would you even solve it? And that's one thing that still drives us, that what have we not talked about? What subject have we not talked about? Or what subject have we not talked about enough? Recently, you'd notice I'm making videos about mold because it's a fresh discovery to me, myself. Some of the stories, I would not be too detailed, but some of the stories I share, actually my story, but I mean, I won't tell people that. I just say, but some of them are actually my story. So I realize how harmful mold is to families and people I know personally and all of those things. And in fact, I would also say this, that some of the houses I've shown are houses that I've lived in before. But of course, I won't tell you that that's my house. I'll just say, this person built this and all of that. So I've seen that Nigerians, it's a global thing. So this is not to say Nigerians don't know things. No, globally, we need to educate ourselves on these things. So that's how all of those rants, going to those houses, both mainland, island, trenches. I looked for houses in Ijesha, so trenches houses, and the fact that I live in trenches doesn't mean you should not live fairly good. Yes, it may. At a point I stopped renting those houses because you get 10, 15k out after working, so I just left it. But I still kept those contacts because really I realized this 90% is too much. 80-something% of Nigerians live in these kinds of houses, right? So what are we kidding if we focus? Yes, we can make money from the top 5-10%, but at the end of the day, most people are in that lower bracket for now. So just giving you all of that background to tell you how we got into it. So the rants were now consistent, and I kept on telling him, no, I can't live like this. People can't live like this. And he said, Benny, do you want to become an activist? I said, I'm not an activist, but these people are not living well. How can somebody live in a house with no window? How can someone, I saw people in Surulere living in a house that was visibly cracked. I was just waiting for the time the building would collapse. Eventually, the owner, the developer, the person sold it to the developer and all that. These are real stories. So that's what inspired us to start making actual videos and showing people. So this thing is cracked. Don't rent a house around when you see it is cracked. Don't you get? And that's how we arrived at that. Thank you.
Where did Nigeria start to deviate from these standards that existed way back, because that's what I grew up to know. Like the houses I knew and saw then, even when they were like, even though they were like local looking houses compared to like what modernism looks like now, they were well constructed. Like you see designs well done. So for me, like my question is, where did we start to get it wrong in Nigeria? Do you think it's a school problem, is an education problem, or it's an implementation problem? Where do you think the problem emanated from?
First of all, there is the economic angle to it, where between the 70s and the 90s, yes, there were economic problems, especially after 1984, but we're linked to the global market. We were able to afford Bulgarian architects that designed the University of Lagos, for example, or National Theatre, or some of the houses. I just recently discovered that some of the housing estates in Ibadan and Ogun State, the ones in Ibarra, Agbara, many of them were designed by Bulgarian architects. So you have to understand the reason why your ancestors did something before you do it. And then if you want to do the exact same thing, it means your form, the building form, speaking about building, has to now align. But when you are doing a Victorian style house, for goodness sake, or a Spanish style, which is what some of our millionaires in Nigeria like doing, Spanish style, Victorian style, or the Brazilian style, with those roofs, you don't need a roof that is 6 meters tall, for goodness sake. You don't need that at that point. So again, it's part of why we do this public education, so that people will understand that this is why your ancestors did it. Do you really want to do that now with global warming and all of those other factors?
Yep.
So one of our problems, again, goes back to education policy. We are not consciously invested in education. The people who colonized us, which is part of why when people say certain things, they are racist, but sometimes I just say, I don't like them, but I understand what they're saying, because these people that came into minus slave trade, that was the bad part. But the colonization part, where they educated us, is the good part. Those guys equipped our schools and built proper classrooms and so on and so forth. They had lab equipment and all of those things. It's in quality training that you can then filter out. So if you have 100,000 excellent electricians, or electric technicians, whatever you call them, you can then filter for the ones that are very good and say, okay, this particular company, this is the best. This particular company only picks the best from this, which is, you remember, those are the things that used to happen in those days. They would just wait for them to graduate, and they'll pick them up from high school. People were earning equivalent of 600, today's equivalent of 600 to 1 million in Leventis and Co. from secondary school. They just went to HSC or whatever they called those courses those days, and then they just went out. They didn't go to the university. Many of our grandparents like that. Railway Corporation, all of the signaling schools and all of those things that existed, they didn't need to go to the university. So for me, one of the things I commend now is this new government saying no more new universities in Nigeria. We don't need new universities. As a matter of fact, some of the universities we have and polytechnics, we should just downgrade them to technical colleges. Let people finish from primary school and spend 6 years learning to operate machines and tools and so forth. Even those who are doing the arts, how many of our artists, singers, are actually competent in music? So and that's why you have to, yes, you can say their school fees are quite costly sometimes, but you cannot, I don't like to attack them, because they are doing what the government has not done for decades. They are filling in the gap. So whether it is because of high operation cost or they are making profits, I cannot speak on for them, but I kind of understand why they are doing what they're doing. Because for me, if I would even speak, I would say some of those churches that have, they're, for example, a church like Living Faith, Redeemed, they have Catholics, of course. I went to a Catholic school, so without the Catholics, some of us would not, maybe would have schooled in one jelly or simi. So the Catholics, the church, the Redeemed, Living Faith, there's another organization that invests in education. I'm trying to remember. Is it the Baptists? They are so now one of the things I would advise them, if there's any one of them listening, I would say, please, you've done well with secondary conventional schools. Convert some of your schools back to technical schools. Because some of the good universities we have in Nigeria, private universities, are actually those run by those guys. See Babcock University. One of the best hospitals in Nigeria right now is run by Babcock. CU. Some of our top fintechs are run by them. They have a fintech department now, and they're blazing trails. Yes. So these guys are trail. So yes, they may have their downsides, but everybody has, even the Harvards have their issues, right? But these guys they are solving a problem. So for me, I would encourage them to do more of that. So pause the schools. Yes, you have done well. I know of it. One of the, I think it's Living Faith. They have almost 600, maybe 300 or so schools. So they've done well. Now, just convert 100 is too much, 50 of them to technical schools and see what happens in 10, 15 years. I encourage them really, if they can do that, it will, because the government has abandoned. If you go to, I attended a private secondary school and public. So I did a mix, JSS, then senior secondary. The public one I attended, the labs, it was weeks to work, where whenever we needed to do practical and all that, Mr. Olabode will call principal. Principal will now buy him burette, titration instruments, all of those things. All the reagents we use in biology. And do you know what? They said that our school was better. That there were some schools they never even knew what those things were. Burette, titration instruments, round bottom flask, flat bottom flask, all those things. We had them, but you need all those reagents and those things. So they used to buy them monthly. And we were complaining that why do you need to buy it monthly? Because that means at a point it will finish. You now suspend your practical till next week because of that. But I still had it too. They said the sets there now, they don't have nothing. So that's why if the private, because we cannot hold we should hold the government, but we cannot hold them in the sense that we cannot literally hold them. You get my point. So let the people who are doing it in the private sector do more. Exactly. So the private sector should be encouraged. Yeah.
People are going to university. They are going to work in this same economy that we're in. What economy is going to execute those things? Like, how are those things going to come to life? Architects goes to school. What collaborating economy or, system is powering the people that will build the houses that kind of architect is? Do you get? You're educating people how to design Rangeri kind building and, all the modernist architect style building, when the quality of masonry that you have is 1 bedroom, 2 bedroom flats. And then going down to now, I think we can see some of the issues that exist in this current real estate economy in Nigeria, one of them is the bloating of the pricing, right? Unrealistic pricing of some buildings, of some houses, and see, when you look at them compared to like what you see outside the country in the West, you're like, it does not add up. So what's going on? So that's one thing I want you to speak on. Quality versus the price of the building, like it doesn't add up. So like what's going on in that space?
We've talked about customer side a lot already. The culture, the wanting to look rich, and all of those things. Because again, it's a buyer's market. Real estate is a buyer's market. In the sense that it's what the buyers want that the designers work on. There are many sectors like that, but real estate is one of those where you cannot just build what you want to build. You have to build what people generally like, which is part of why I hope to reach a point of virality, not because I want my page to be famous, but because when people begin to revolt against small windows, for example, you will see that windows will become wider. So right now, people don't care. A lot of people think, you would have seen my comment section before where I talk about windows, where somebody will say it's because the person can afford AC. So windows need to be small. Do you not know that the person can afford AC? I'm like, first of all, you won't use AC every day. Secondly, it's not even the most healthy option. And thirdly, you need, even when you have ACs on regularly, you would have intervals where you want to maybe clean your house, wash your house, where you need natural air
ventilation.
So on the side of the sellers, there are many issues. The number one issue for real estate in Nigeria in terms of pricing is land. The cost of land is outrageous in Nigeria because of the Land Use Act. The Land Use Act states that all the land belongs to, it was a decree by President Obasanjo when he was a military president in 1978. Yes, 1978. And the Land Use Act basically hands all the land in Nigeria to the governors of the states. So the governor of Lagos State is technically the owner of all the lands in, yes, including the land that has COO. You are just a tenant. So the COO basically means you are renting, you are a tenant to the governor.
Is this legal, and is this standard practice in the rest of the world?
There are countries that have similar practices with Nigeria's, but they are all shifting away. China has a similar practice, but it's not. The land does not belong to the governors of the provinces. It belongs to the Chinese national government. There are other countries that have similar practices, but nowadays a lot of people are tending towards the US system of freehold. Even the UK used to have it where the crown, the queen or the crown, used to be the lessor of all the land to whoever was buying. But it's not sustainable because, for example, there are railway tunnels that have operated for up to 100 years or 200 years even in the UK. So tell me, if you want people to be buying and reselling land every 99 years on those kinds of titles, there are railways in the US that have lasted for up to 100 plus years as well. Do you want people to be leasing land 50 years and changing the price, which will affect you get? So land administration is one of which is why I always find a way to talk about land administration on Snag Inspector, because we need to get to the point where, first of all, Land Use Act in Nigeria needs to go, or let me say needs to be amended, because there are good intentions where you want the governor should be able. So let me give a brief history. President Obasanjo created that as General Obasanjo in 1978 because people in Lagos, that time the federal government was seated in Lagos. People were reselling land even to government. So Mr. A would have land, the government would buy it from him. Then Mr. B will now say, oh, it was my brother you bought it from. So, of course, what's the reaction of the military force? Let's collect everything from all of you. Shebi, you say it's your land. When I need it, I am the federal government of Nigeria. I will collect land. The only thing he did is he didn't put the power in the federal government. He put it in the state governors across the different states. So everybody's land belongs to the governors of their states. Number one rule. Now, the intention is good because let's say we want to build a railway, and then the railway passes my land, your land, and let's say another person's land. I can choose to price my land at 100 million naira. And it's just one plot. You can now have 1 acre and be a reasonable person and say, mine will be 50 million. How does the government price that land? So that's the reason why the government just does, right now what they just do, they just send the lands department and they just give, there's a word they call it, allocate. I've forgotten the word, but anyway, there's a word they call it. I work with these government people as well sometimes. So they just give you people a collective amount. They just say, you people, everybody will take compensation of X amount. Because of that problem that happened under Baba Obasanjo in Lagos, I think in the eastern region, it was a big problem. People were selling land to government 3-4 times. So that's why Baba took over the entire land. So the intention is good, but as we've seen now, it has become a problem because now land documents and everything, our documentation process is very rigorous. There's only one governor in Nigeria right now that signs COO in 3 months. Right now, it is only Governor Seyi Makinde that gives you only your state government. I heard they are doing better in Abia State, but they don't have GIS in Abia State. They don't have GIS, meaning Abia State doesn't have the full map of their state. Almost every state in Nigeria doesn't. Only about 6 states have functional GIS. Kaduna, Ogun, Lagos, of course, FCT. I heard Nasarawa has done theirs, Akwa Ibom. Okay, 6. No, there are 2 other states. There are less than 10 that have full map of their entire state. I mean, proper GPS, not the ancient mapping system. That's UTM. I think that's UTM. So the GPS system where, you can use it. You can globally find the location of land and all of that. Let me not go into too many details. But the long story short is that our land administration system needs to change. The governors need to the federal government needs to let go. I should be able to buy my land and own it for for 300 years. If I buy land and own it for 300 years, first of all, even if the price is high, I know I don't have to make the money in 20 years. I can wait long. I can actually plan it for my children. But the average developer is buying land because he knows that. Do you know that some of the CEOs in Nigeria right now, in Ekpe, in VI right now, some of the houses the towers that people are buying, they have just about 30 years. There's a popular one. There's a popular tower in Ikoyi by maybe 2040 something. The CEO will expire. Which means the governor or at that time will ask you people to repay for the land.
I'm sure you have stories for days, but just maybe what has been like the most challenging part of that work of doing this content, educating people on, bringing awareness to the built environment standards and stuff like that. What has been the most challenging part of it?
The first thing is, initially, like I said, I used to write blogs and I was not afraid to put my face out. But after I didn't really want to start out faceless. I just wanted to focus on the work before showing my face, that kind of thing. But let's even see what the world will say about this content. After showing 5 videos, if it doesn't reach, I don't know if you went through that process, but if you post 5-10, if it doesn't reach a particular, you have not probably you have to redo it and rework it. So that was the idea. But after I did I think it was the 4th or 5th video, and someone sent me a message, these people can come after you, this and that and that. I said, but I did not even mention their names. I didn't. Okay, so there was the very first video, very second video, I actually mentioned the name of the man, of the contractor. So one of my elders said, no, don't do that. You are going to create enemies that you don't need. And I agreed with her. So I didn't mention the name of the contractor. I just showed the market and all of that. It was a market in Ketu. Then I did something about a developer, and my friend, a person I went to the university with, said that developer is very angry with that content you did, that you are exposing all the things that. So I said, so it's not even that they didn't know that this. So I did it with the mindset of, let's just show this issue, and hopefully the developer will see it and know that there is a problem, and they will. So you get, when you just do things with pure innocence. The person was angry. Then I did one. I did back to back, and it got to. No, that one didn't even ask me to take it down. Then it got to December 2023, I think, and I did a particular public place. I don't want to give too many details. And the man's people got injured in that place and all of that. And I just made a video I didn't even go there myself. I just made a video. I just took content from like 5 creators, their own creators who they invited to promote the place. That was what I did. So I didn't do from someone who was vindictive and angry. Yes, there were negative comments, but I was very intentional that I wanted to be objective about this analysis. I got like 4 videos from their own content creators that they brought in a bus to that place. And I showed, this is a risk. This is a safety risk. Someone can hit their head here. Someone can do this. And I mentioned all the risks. And I said, people have complained. I encouraged them. I did not, was one of my nice videos. This man, first of all, they sent people to look for my phone number. Well, they didn't get my personal phone number, but they got one of our channels. They sent me a warning. I sent to my lawyer. My lawyer said until their lawyer sent, I should not respond. They sent personal warnings on my public Telegram account, the one that is public. They sent warnings. They sent threats. And guess what they sent? They sent someone from the Lagos state government, but I won't mention the person's position. The person asked me to come to his office based on one video I made. I said, So I involved my lawyer. My lawyer said, nope, don't go there without. Anyway, he gave me some advice. I don't want to go into details of the advice. And long story short, as at day before yesterday, I still spoke with someone who works with the guy because he's a popular real estate face. He's popular on Instagram, in fact. He said he was talking to, he said, that your friend, if I catch him. So the person told him, I know this guy. He said, if I catch him, Fine, they say he's no longer as angry, but as at that time, he was really pissed. He wanted me to do everything. And guess what? I didn't get more than 30,000 views on Instagram, 30,000 views on TikTok. So I didn't even get 1 million views. But I think maybe there's a bit of respect for our platform. I believe that's one of the things. So if this person is saying it must be legit. I assume that's what it is. So he felt, if this person is criticizing a lot of. So there was that. There have been videos we've actually taken down. There was somebody whose house collapsed and we showed it to the world. We said, if you build like this, your house will collapse. It was so obvious he used sand. But he was a military general. So I took it down before he would find me. Anyway, I uploaded it after a few weeks. So it's not like I took it down totally. I just took it down for that period when he was angry, gave him a few weeks, then I re-uploaded it. I was a military general. There have been a few like that, and so that's why we decided to. I mean, it's a real person behind the account, but we decided to stay faceless. And then many times we engage them and tell them, see, it's not vindictive. That's why we are not mentioning names, except the one where the person has publicized his name already. Like one building that where someone unfortunately lost his life in Lekki. They had mentioned the name of their organization, so there was no way I could hide the name of their organization. I just said, oh, this mall had this issue and so on and so forth. But generally, we, as a principle, you notice we try not to even show the full features of the home when it's our original video. But if your video is out there in public, I mean, I'm free to use it. But if it's a building that we've not on our own searched, we try to hide certain features so that we just avoid. So yeah, it's been challenging in that regard because you then have to watch your steps. I've gotten letters from federal agencies. I've gotten lawyers. It's at least I think I can think of 10 as we speak here from federal agencies. In fact, there was one I had to tell them, fine, I will remove the video. I will not remove the video, but once you've repaired this place, I will be the one to go there and I'll put a commendation. And they never did it, but they wanted me to take down the video. So these are challenges. I think that's one of the most that's one of the biggest challenges we faced. Other challenges are the normal content creator challenge, finding devices that work, all of those normal things, but those are things. Then of course we're an organization, we're a construction company actually, and so we also try to make sure that we show some of our own work intentionally so that people don't just see you as someone that just likes to talk about other people. And in fact, I think there was a video I did recently. I showed it with an error intentionally so that they would not say, oh, this person thinks it's holier than that. It's a patch error. It's just something, but I left it intentionally so that because you don't want to create the false impression of, oh, you are holier than. No, every company, some of the biggest construction companies, they have snags that are visible even long after. But the challenge is, do they work to fix it? Yes, the bigger guys fix it. The smaller guys just overlook it. And that's so where we try to, of course, show originality and not try to pretend to be what we are not. Yeah. But other than that, the other challenges, typical challenges of life. The university one too is one that's got a number of hits. In fact, there's a university that I was advised, don't show this man till the owner of the school passes. He's an old man. Yeah, because the person is very vindictive. I have videos of that university, and if I show it, maybe you should get lawyers for me. I have videos I have not posted. I mean, I have literal hundreds of videos, not exaggerating, hundreds of videos I have not posted because of those concerns. Yeah. But on the positive side, I should also say that there are people, I receive messages from LAPCA staff who say, oh, thank you very much. In fact, there's someone that said, thank you for saying this thing.
LAPCA is what?
Lagos State Building Control Agency.
Okay.
Lagos people who say, oh, thank you we wanted to discuss this thing in the office. Thank you for talking about this. It's because of you that we are taking this seriously. I have received calls from the Ogun State Ministry of Fiscal Planning. Thank you, please. Where is that place? So there are positive comments. I should also add that. So it's not all
bad.
Yeah, there are people in government in fact, there's someone in government who has said, oh, one of these days you help us in policy. I just said, no, I'm not interested in entering government circles for now. So they have been positive, and I mean highly placed people. So it's been a bit balanced. Yeah.
Nice. That's good. I mean, let's focus more on the positives.
Yes, definitely.
We'll take the positives and ignore the noisemakers.
The noisemakers.
Well, amazing work. Thank you so much. It's been so educative and informative listening to you talk about these issues, and I hope that you keep doing your great work, and hope rooting for you. Wish you all the best in your work, and
thank you.
Yeah. Thank you for your time.
This is Snag Inspector, and you're listening to the Hungry Creative Podcast.